Going on, Jerome's. So the Minnesota Fine Vikings made a concerted effort to get back to having the meets in both of the trenches this offseason, notably along the offensive line. So bringing in Ryan Kelly, Will Fries, as well as drafting Donovan Jackson in the first round. But also, there was another addition as an undrafted free agent. A lot of people thought that would be drafted in one Logan Brown, right tackle out of the University of Kansas. And frankly, he's a lot of people's favorite UDFA, and he may be one of the more value acquisitions of the offseason. A couple years down the line, I think you could see a little something from Logan Brown. Let's talk about him today. Background. Just turned 24 in April, 6'6", 311. Amber is the color of her energy. Former five-star recruit from Kentwood, Michigan. Now, it's a little complicated. So initially he started out as a stupid Badger, right? And for a couple seasons and had the Rona year and all that stuff, and sort of like a part-time player for Wisconsin. But ultimately he was dismissed from the team by then head coach or interim head coach, whatever, Jim Leonard. Now, speculation is that he punched a teammate during practice. Now, some people may see that as bad. I see that as a player who wants to punch Badgers. That's all I'm saying. Took his talents to Lawrence, Kansas. Was basically just a one-year starter at right tackle in 2024. 82.5 PFF grade, 6 pressures, 0 sacks, 0 goose egg. DeAndre Russell sacks allowed on 609 snaps. One of the big reasons why Devin Neal was so successful there with his time with the Jayhawks. Second team All Big 12. Combine-wise, baby. Come on. 9.49 RAS, 10-inch hands, long arms, 32-inch vert, great in the long jump as well. 1.75 yard, 10-yard split in the 40, which Kwesi obviously loves a 10-yard split, but especially for players in the trenches and notably offensive linemen, it's extremely important. Great in the shuttle as well. So basically, tests out as a freak. Practice down at the Senior Bowl, he was good. Game, yeah. But Logan Brown, basically, you're like, okay. This guy, even though his playing time was limited, lots of physical tools that you can build on. Lance Erline, NFL.com's draft profile, draft projection, rounds 3 or 4. And he could have been drafted back end of day 2, top end of day 3, and I don't think anyone would have batted an eye. But the fact that he went undrafted and the Vikings were able to scoop him up, I think that's great value. Overview. Traits-based developmental tackle with only 1 full season as a college starter. Brown is high cut, but is unusually quick laterally and athletic in space for a player who plays so upright. He gets to zone blocking landmarks and is forceful with move contact, but his pad level limits his consistency as a man-to-man blocker. His protection improved rapidly in season, but he needs to develop an inside-out approach with pass sets and learn to recognize rush games more quickly. The bad looks really bad, but the good can look really good. The ceiling and floor are both moving upward, and Brown has early swing tackle value with a chance to develop into an NFL starter. And it really is about technique. His lack of game reps certainly do show up. And as Erline says, he is a little bit of an upright player, and low man wins in the trenches, but certainly something to build on. What Logan Brown can bring, NFL size and strength, day 1. This is a deep cut, but do you guys remember Tiny Richardson as UDFA out of Tennessee? Brown stylistically sort of reminds me of him. This is like, 2014, something like that. But Richardson had bad knees, and it just didn't pan out. But Brown seems good to go. Elite short area quickness, seeker of contact. He's about that action, boss. Swing tackle flexibility, but only 1 year as a starter, does need technique refinements, and hopefully he can play with a little bit more bend as opposed to whatever. But I think that in terms of absolute value, I think Logan Brown is great as a UDFA, a player that could have easily been drafted in the mid rounds, and the Vikings get him, and I think that he has a chance to rise on up. I think that he could potentially push for the 53, definitely a near lock for the practice squad, and just go from there. And I think that's important too, because beyond the whole Kelly and Fries and Jackson stuff, just making sure that you have depth, making sure you have options, because stuff happens, and it is a game of attrition, and you do need to have viable options as backups. Otherwise, and we've seen like one injury along the offensive line didn't go great last year. Right, so hopefully Logan Brown can develop into something, and also the fact that you got Justin School, Walter Rouse, Brandel in that mix as well as potential backup tackles. I think that the Vikings are setting themselves up to be in a really good spot. There you go. But your thoughts are thoughts. UDFA, Kansas right tackle superstar Logan Brown. Woo! Love it. Let us know. Comment section. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skol, production value.